Welcome back, everyone. Today, the raw food cope has been destroyed because people think that raw food is going to make you a Chad, which I never claim. I don't think anyone logically will claim that. Then I guess people are kind of becoming against it because they think it's all built on BS. No, eating raw animal foods, even cooked animal foods, is going to make you feel better, make you live longer, optimize your hormones, make you actually be able to see your kids when you're older. So yeah, with all that being said, let's see if raw food has been destroyed. So popular claims of the raw food movement: cooking destroys nutrients, raw food boosts hormones, raw milk cures autoimmune disease, children grow better on raw meat or fruit, raw diets are ancestrally accurate. Let's quickly go through these. Cooking destroys nutrients. This is already proven beyond a doubt. Just look at any analysis of raw versus pasteurized milk, well done versus raw meat. B vitamins, water soluble compounds, taurine, certain amino acids, even vitamin A is actually reduced. Fat soluble vitamins are even reduced. Every nutrient is reduced by heat. What you have to do is step out of your brainwashing, and most people just see cooking as something, oh yes, we do cooking. We apply heat. Think about what's really happening. You're taking your luscious, hydrated meat, and then you're putting it under this high destructive heat for up to 30 minutes sometimes. What do you take out? This dry, all the structured water's gone, this dry, destroyed food. It is absolutely worse. You will still get some nutrition from meat, and you will get the macronutrients like protein. You will get protein from cooked meat. Will you get the same micronutrients? No, by definition. This is not even a claim, this is a fact. Raw food boosts hormones. Depends on which raw food. Raw milk cures autoimmune disease. Depends. It can help. Wouldn't be my first suggestion. Children grow better on raw meat / fruit. Fruit won't help you grow. Meat will. Raw diets are ancestrally accurate. Depends on where in the world. Ethiopia, Germany, the Inuit, the Arctic Circle. I mean, there's plenty of raw meat dishes. Met, that's raw pork on bread. The Inuit only eat raw meat, essentially. Japan, they eat raw pork, raw seafood, even raw horse. They have a horse sashimi dish in Japan. There's actually hundreds of raw meat dishes in America. Like in Europe, it's actually completely normal to just go eat raw pork. America is just the most brainwashed, so we don't really have many left besides sushi. You can go to a store and just buy raw food, but they won't sell you any other raw meat to be consumed. So, cultural. Okay, cooking versus raw nutrient bioavailability. Reality: cooking enhances the bioavailability of many key nutrients. Lycopene, tomatoes. We're doing plants now. Tomatoes, okay. 2.5 times more available when cooked. So, to clarify, I'm not going to be defending eating raw vegetables, even though tomatoes are a fruit. Cooking tomatoes would be pretty stupid, but I don't really think tomatoes are too great to eat anyway. They're okay. If you're on a keto diet, they're tolerable. It's just it's a nightshade. It's like, who cares about them? It will destroy the lectins in tomatoes if you cook them. So I can understand cooking tomatoes, honestly. But anyway, I don't really care about plants. I don't really think, who cares if you get more lycopene? Tomatoes are already deficient. It's not interesting to me. Same with carrots, beta carotene. Carrots, 3 times more bioavailable post-cooking. Most people who promote raw meat aren't making the claim that you should eat carrots raw or eat carrots at all. Yeah, you get more beta carotene, sure, let's say, because it's in the fiber and you denature it. Okay. Who cares? Yeah, 3 times more bioavailability, okay. Protein digestibility, meat increases from 50% to 90% when cooked. Now, this guy really messed up here. We're going to find the comment that really proves this because he elaborated on this. I already messaged him about this comment. He may have deleted it. I wonder if he deleted his comment because I already proved he was wrong. Okay, he deleted his comment. Maybe I'll show the DMs on screen. But basically this source is about egg whites. Okay? So yeah, cooking egg whites goes from 50% protein bioavailability to 90% because there are anti-nutrients in egg whites like avidin and trypsin inhibitors. And trypsin inhibitors do distress and inhibit protein digestion and absorption. So he said meat. Now, most studies will show that raw versus cooked, there's about a 10% increase in protein bioavailability. However, there's something to note here. That is among the protein that remains. So the protein that remains after cooking will be slightly more absorbed. However, heat in itself actually destroys amino acids more than 10%. So think of it this way. You have raw meat with all the amino acids, and let's say it's at a 90% bioavailability. Let's say you cook it, it goes to 100%, but you have less of the overall amino acids. So in reality, the difference between raw and cooked meat in terms of the protein is very, very minuscule. And especially if you're eating naturally, you're going to have enough protein either way. It's not very important to my criteria, the 10% difference. I'm more interested in the nutrition because anyone eating mostly meat, raw or cooked, is going to have excess protein. That's not the issue here. Now, maybe it would matter if you're someone who's eating 4 ounces of chicken breast a week. Maybe it would slightly matter. For the majority of people on the raw diet, it's not important. So this was completely wrong. He had said that there was trypsin inhibitors in meat. Meat, protein digestibility meat. There is not a trypsin inhibitor, and he deleted the comment after I addressed this. There is not a trypsin inhibitor in any meats, only in the egg whites of any animal product. That's the only thing with them. So this was just a false claim that he's already recognized he was wrong about. So that's done. Another thing debunked. Cell wall breakdown. Cooking liberates nutrients locked in plant cell matrices. Exactly, yes. Cooking vegetables is beneficial if you're going to eat vegetables. If you're going to be munching down on some spinach or broccoli, I hope to God you cook it to death to destroy the goitrogens and oxalates. Like raw spinach really should have a warning label on the package. The fact that a store will sell you raw spinach with 800 milligrams of oxalates per cup, they won't sell you raw milk, is laughable. The amount of harm we see in oxalates per year compared to raw milk per year, it's a joke. Oxalates are 1 million times more poisonous. So yeah, of course. Anti-nutrients are reduced through cooking. Again, he just made a case. All of this evidence was about cooking vegetables. Yeah, all this evidence was about cooking vegetables. The only point he had about cooking meat has already been debunked. And then if I were to present my arguments, I would show you all the studies on how nutrients are all decreased when you cook meat. Okay, there we are. Horrible arguments. Enzyme degradation, not a problem. Enzymes in food are mostly denatured in the stomach, 1.5 to 3.5 pH. If you have 3.5 pH as a human, you're in a rough spot. Human digestion does not require exogenous enzymes. Enzymes are necessary. Yes, okay. I agree with this. Enzymes are not necessary. However, just because it's not necessary does not mean it's not beneficial. Just like, say, creatine. Creatine is not necessary. You don't have to have creatine in the diet. However, we see in studies having 5 more grams of creatine per day exogenously helps muscle synthesis and performance in the gym, etc. So, yeah, that's sure. Also, something you'll find is that people who don't have any raw food to get new enzymes in, they can actually become enzyme depleted. Enzymes never hurt. It's just pre-digestion. It's the same argument people make with cooked food, though that's a lot different. That's why fermented foods are extremely easy to digest. Bacteria, most of digestion is bacterial and enzymatic, right? So when you have a fermented milk like kefir, which is pre-digested, full of probiotics, it is the best food for the gut. And of course, raw kefir is going to have way more probiotics, way more lactoferrin. Things like lactoferrin in milk, which are beneficial for the human gut, this has been proven, are completely destroyed in cooked milk, along with any vitamin C. And the vitamin C is important in milk, actually, for the lactose digestion. That's completely gone. People want... I don't know why this debate is even a thing, that people think milk in its natural state, the way it's meant for a calf, is somehow worse than us processing it. Makes no sense. Pathogen risk. Raw meat can carry trichinella, toxoplasma gondii, tapeworms. Yeah, Normally, raw meat is a very large term that's encompassing the whole animal. Normally, they're referring to the intestines of a pig, typically. Because, think about this. If you're eating a rare steak, if there were tapeworms or parasites in the portion that's not rare, or that's rare, they wouldn't be killed. So by this argument, you'd have to cook all your meat well done to kill them all. But no one does that. What's the idea? There's a tapeworm on the outside of the meat. It's so stupid. And yeah, in 20 years, there were 3 deaths associated with raw milk. Which, by the way, maybe that even sounds bad to you. You can do this if you look at any food and you adjust it per capita, you'll actually typically find a lot more deaths. It's one of those risks you have to take, which is extremely minimal. Again, I've been drinking raw milk on and off for around 20 years now from the same source. I know my source. I've never gotten sick once. I've gotten sick when I eat food from the store that's cooked. I've never gotten sick from sushi. This is anecdotal, but over, 20 years, an anecdote actually has some sort of credibility, I'd assume, especially when we look at everyone drinking this raw milk and no one's actually dying or getting sick. We're all getting healthier. We're all feeling better. We're healing our gut. Children and immunocompromised people are at the highest risk. Cooking equals sterilization, not degradation. Well, it does equal degradation because the nutrients are reduced, degraded. The water-soluble compounds, especially. This is, I guess, assess your risk and assess if you think salmonella is actually harmful. That's a story for another day. But why are we even trying to avoid E. coli and salmonella to begin with? That's a story for another day. Child development claims. Children require highly digestible bioavailable protein, calcium, and iron. Yep, that's all in raw milk. Plenty of bioavailable protein, the most bioavailable calcium, and there is some heme iron in milk, small amounts. And raw meat. Yeah, children require this. It's in raw animal foods. Raw meat is often too fibrous and microbiologically unsafe. Yeah, raw meat is too fibrous, even though every person who's ever eaten good raw meat knows it's way easier to digest, way easier to chew. You feel way better. You don't feel anything in your stomach. Perfectly digested. There's been experiments where they put raw versus cooked meat in a stomach acid or in an acid replicating our stomach acid. The raw meat dissolves around 7 times as fast. Yeah, dude, raw meat is what's too fibrous in the diet. Raw vegan fruitarian children with gross stunning rickets and anemia. Yeah, I don't know why this guy's trying to tackle raw vegan and raw meat in the same slideshow. One's the worst diet on earth, one's the best diet on earth. Yeah, of course, if you don't have raw meat, if you're raw vegan, you're going to literally kill yourself, of course. American Academy of Pediatrics and EFSA, raw diets pose nutritional inadequacy for growing children. Oh, thank you for that. That's a good religious quote. Raw diets pose nutritional inadequacy for growing children. Raw diets. So no matter what you eat, if it's raw, you're at a risk. What a stupid fucking comment. Whoever wrote that should be ashamed. That's how retarded the people are in these American Academy of Pediatrics and EFSA. Are you stupid? You could say the same thing about cooked diets. What about a raw sugar diet versus a cooked sugar diet? It's too vague. It's too stupid. It's just brainwashing, trying to tell people not to eat raw food. Raw diets pose. They didn't even say raw diets may pose. They said raw diets pose nutritional inadequacy. Raw diets pose nutritional inadequacy for growing children. There you are. So if you eat raw meat, raw blood, raw organs, and raw milk, and raw fruit, you're nutritionally inadequate. You should have ate cooked broccoli. Yeah, that makes sense. That's shameless, man. Garbage arguments. There's nothing here. It's too microbiologically unsafe. Prove it. Where's the substantiation? What is this? Okay, let's just summarize real quick. Children require what's in raw meat. Unfounded belief. Attacking raw vegan. A quote from a religious quote. Is this supposed to be some debunk? What is this? This is garbage. Hormonal myths. No evidence raw diets optimize testosterone or rebalance estrogen. Yeah, there probably isn't like an RCT or something. I'd agree. And I'd say it's more so about animal foods, which that is proven. Like high saturated fat diets versus low saturated fat diets and RCTs and meta-analyses of RCTs. High fat diets, high animal fat diets, the men always have more testosterone, and it's statistically significant. It's like up to 30% more. So that's already proven. Guess it's not raw though, so I understand that point. Hormone regulation depends on micronutrient sufficiency, vitamin D, zinc, and iodine, all sufficient in animal foods like oysters, tons of zinc, iodine, vitamin D is in animal fat only. So macronutrient balance, there's only 2 macronutrients, protein and fat. Sugar doesn't count as a macronutrient by definition. It's not nourishing nor required. So yep, you have a perfect balance on animal foods. Sleep, stress, physical activity. Extreme diets often disrupt endocrine function via caloric nutrient deficiency. What is this fucking garbage, dude? People are telling me to react to this. Extreme diets disrupt endocrine function via caloric nutrient deficiency. That just fucking depends on what you eat and how much you eat. Who's in a caloric... First, humans can't even consume calories. That already shows what this guy's at. But I know what he means. Getting enough food. Then just eat more milk and honey or something. What? It's easy. Nutrient deficiency. Well, raw meat diets have every nutrient. I mean, it's the most nutritious foods on earth, like raw liver, raw brain, raw thyroid. It's just stupid. It's like it's nothing. It's nothing burger. Caloric restriction. You can't restrict calories. No human has ever eaten a calorie. They're just potential theoretical units of heat. We consume atoms, not calories. Calories have no resting mass. We eat mass. We do not combust food in a closed system. Calories do not apply. And low fat intake. Caloric restriction, low fat intake. I mean, okay. And raw meat is a high fat diet. It's a high calorie diet. What is this garbage, bro? Pasteurization reduces pathogenic load. I would agree. You have to weigh your risk and reward with that, and your opinion on, do you think parasites are bad? It's your own opinion. No loss of major nutrients post-pasteurization. This is an opinion. Lactoferrin is completely destroyed from pasteurization. Vitamin C is completely destroyed. And I like how this implies there are nutrients lost. He just has his opinion that they're not major. I would say lactoferrin is pretty major for the gut. Just an opinion. So, claims of raw milk curing asthma allergies lack controlled human data. Doesn't mean it's not true. There's, it took a while for cigarettes to get off the market. We lacked the data for around decades. The data was being skewed, paid off. Doesn't mean anything. You don't need science. It's not science, it's science. Most of science is a complete joke. Epidemiology, paid studies, confounding variables not accounted for, making up variables when you don't have them to try to correct. Decades behind. I mean, legal bans in multiple countries for safety reasons. That's an appeal to authority. Okay. Pasteurization equals one of the most successful public health interventions. That's an opinion. This is actually garbage, dude. I'm almost mad the arguments aren't better. Really. Psychological and cultural drivers. Like, is this just some ChatGPT slop? Why am I even watching this? Romanticization of nature equals appeal to nature fallacy. See, this is, again, extremely retarded. Just because you say an appeal to nature is a fallacy doesn't make it a fallacy. If a cow is adapted to eating grass its whole life, then you say cows have been eating grass for hundreds of thousands of years. They're adapted to eating grass. Would you then say a cow should eat grass as an appeal to nature fallacy? How's it a fallacy? Animals are adapted to eating a specific thing. We are adapted to eating meat and some fruit and some dairy. That's what we're adapted to. That's our stomach pH. That's our short and long intestine. That's our exogenous nutrient requirements. We don't ferment plants on large scale into fat and protein. We need them to eat. We need to eat them. That's what we're adapted to eating. That's our current biology. It's not an appeal to nature. It's literally nature is what you are adapted to eat. It's not a fallacy. Influencer echo chambers, yeah, there's probably some of that. Identity and dietary extremism as modern tribalism. I'm sure there's some of that. This isn't interesting. I'm only interested in like the facts about the diet. Confirmation bias and groupthink drive adherence to raw food dogma. Even if that's true, it's not interesting. Only it's not important. All right, additional scientific observations. Heat denatured proteins are more accessible to proteolytic enzymes, pepsin and trypsin. I assume he's referring to plants being cooked. Again, there is a little bit of evidence of the remaining amino acids that cooked meat, the denatured proteins, the pepsin and trypsin it is a little bit more accessible. So I wouldn't even disagree. Is this important? No. Thermal processing reduces foodborne anti-nutrients and allergens. In plants, yes. Fermentation plus cooking equals ancestral combination for safety and absorption. That's an appeal to nature fallacy, bro. Why are you appealing to nature, bro? Dude. Wait. Appeal to nature fallacy. Ancestral, isn't that an appeal to our nature? Our ancestry? Dude, literally I'm disliking and commenting because you just appealed to nature, bro. That's a fallacy. Like, see how stupid that is? Fermentation, if you cook something that's fermented, it's done. Every tribe, people of all time have fermented raw foods. Raw fermented liver, raw fermented milk, raw fermented, even, kimchi. Even plants were raw. Natto, etc. Okay. Ancestral combination for safety and absorption. Okay, I guess. Like fermentation is, yeah. For more bacteria. Because we have more bacterial cells than animal cells. You are mostly bacteria. Modern raw diets ignore microbiological evolution and sanitation standards. This is hard to even. I'm done with this slideshow. This is garbage. Summary: raw food diets pose serious microbial risk with no proven benefits. Cooking improves nutrition. Again, he's conflating plants and animal foods. No, not for raw meat, not for raw milk. Safety, maybe, with our modern world, I could understand, like cooking food from the store or cooking food from just, the general store, perhaps. Too vague and broad. And digestibility, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Yeah, man, cooking improves digestion. Maybe of plants. Okay, again, he just conflated plants with animals. It's stupid. He should have made two different slideshows. All your arguments are against raw plants, which I agree with. Child development and hormonal health required balanced evidence-based nutrition. Yeah, and all the fucking nutrients are in raw food, you fucking idiot. Like, okay, what is this ChatGPT slop, dude? This guy's a fucking idiot. This guy's the IQ king, bro. By the way, I would debate this guy, but he doesn't even show his voice. He's too scared to show his voice, I guess. Raw food diets pose serious microbial risk. You'd have to prove there is such a thing as a microbial risk to begin with. Is salmonella toxic, or is salmonella found as a byproduct of toxins being excreted? Same with E. coli. That's a whole new topic. And it's foolish to begin with because we have our own case study of people on the raw primal diet drinking raw milk, raw meat for decades. No one gets sick. Nothing ever happens. That's like that little TikTok meme. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens, bro. No one is actually getting... It's such a brainwash, fear-mongering thing. Wow. This was a horrible ChatGPT garbage argument slideshow. Now I'm going to present a few arguments against this even further, especially for raw animal foods being cooked. Let's go over a few things. First, this guy needs to address advanced glycation end products being formed when meat is cooked, which do have a 10% binding rate. Okay, there you are. Next, he needs to address the carcinogens like heterocyclic it's hard to pronounce, which are formed when you cook. Okay, so you have advanced glycation end products, carcinogens when cooked. Address the lack of water-soluble vitamins like B12 being massively reduced by cooking. address the amino acids being destroyed, address even vitamin A getting reduced from cooking, address the nutrient loss, and then the formation of harmful compounds when you cook raw meat and make it cooked meat. You get less nutrients, you get more of the bad things. And that's not a risk. That happens every time you cook. Their only cope against raw food is that, oh, there's a 1 in a million chance you're going to have some harmful bacteria, this invisible bacteria that no one actually is getting. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the guy about cooking plants. Like, yeah, cooking, a tomato, which is a nightshade, probably be beneficial. I mean, tomatoes are missing vitamin A, D, K2, B6, B12, the amino acids. Like, tomatoes aren't nutritious to begin with. You shouldn't be eating them for nutrition. Only animal products are nutritious by definition for humans. Fruits can be seen as hydration and for carbohydrate if you want carbohydrate. Coconut water could be seen as hydration. But this was a nothing burger. I don't know why so many people were saying I should make a video on this. This is garbage. ChatGPT could have done better than this, actually. He used a resource about cooking egg whites to say that cooking meat improves the protein from 50% to 90%. Dude, that 50 to 90% statistic, we all know it's about egg whites, bro. That was one of the older arguments. That's been debunked for years, bro. We all know about that study. Egg whites aren't meat. They have anti-nutrients. Meat doesn't. Name a meat with an anti-nutrient in the flesh of the meat. Name one. Name one with a trypsin inhibitor. Oh, okay. You can't. Case closed. There you are. And a little bit of a plug, if you want my nutrition course, which has all this stuff, I think it's worth $20 within itself, along with all my other courses. For month 3 members, you actually get how to rate faces. You get this entire breakdown of all the measurements. I'm trying to add in as much valuable stuff, all of my stuff with actually approaching girls, sleep mastery, the physiology and science behind all this stuff, eyelashes, eyebrows, literally everything, the community, coaching calls. If you want, you can check the school out down below. Hope to see you there. The calls are really good. Every Sunday at 2 p.m. EST, you can join up on the calls. And if you have any questions for me about your face, your health, getting girls, etc., hit me up there. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.